Hi, it's Laura here from Healing with Spirit, and I'm here to basically chat about. I was taking some notes because I can't remember everything, but I can chat with what is happening energetically. Um, last week I had, well, actually, a couple months ago, I had been talking to a colleague of mine about doing a podcast episode regarding the upcoming election. As for the last three elections, I've been doing predictions, and let's just say that I haven't been wrong on any of them yet, knock on wood. But yeah, we took us 2 months to record because between me being away in Ireland and for her moving to Maui, we were going to drop it August 5th, and we ended up dropping it. Something just said, Laura, you need to drop this early because something's about to happen. Okay, so today we are going to be chatting. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself for those who don't know who I am. We, why we're doing the live. It's basically, look, a lot of us are feeling it. Okay, we are seriously feeling what is happening inside and around us on a very deep level, whether we realize it or not. And the energies, let's just say, are shifting on so many levels, on so many fronts. As I said a few minutes ago, we dropped the August podcast of Triggers in Spiritual Medicine early for a reason. Just because between what my friend, who's the astrologer, Victoria Frey of Victory Astrology, had stated, and just the pings I was getting, something just said, Laura, you need to drop it early. Okay. And we ended up dropping it on Friday. So today we're going to look. Here's an opportunity to ask me questions. I'm not always going to get it right. Okay. I want to give you a little bit of an intro about who I am for those who don't know me, and tell you a little bit about the podcast and why you should probably tune in. Um, the card for the day or for the month is the grackle. It's the Eight of Swords. It's the air. So this month, the energies for this month is really showing us our triggers. It's showing us our emotions. It's showing us also the color of life. Okay. The one thing I can tell you since I have been back from Ireland leading a pilgrimage there, the one theme that has been consistent has been the theme around duality and how that is showing up consistently, simultaneously. So you can be triggered while also having like life being good, right? And it's also going to show you like how to adapt, how to master communication. Like, it's, geez, I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm feeling stressed. And how do I also incorporate more self care? So, how do I, listen to the inner wisdom without getting too afraid? And can I be listening to my inner wisdom and be afraid at the same time? These are the dualities, right? How can I be happy about what the situation is about? And how can I feel like shit? Okay. And feeling like crap. I should probably correct my language. Okay. But, a lot of what I posted for the July forecast was really about a lot of folks are feeling like enough is enough. We've been doing the work. We have been, it's the push, it's the pull, it's the extremes, it's the up leveling, it's the breaking point. And many of folks, from what I've been seeing, who I've been talking to, who I've been working with, have all been kind of like, when is things going to create some space so I can breathe? All right. And that's what I'm here to talk about. So if you're seeing this, you're seeing this for a reason. And on the podcast, I'm not an astrology person. I should probably tell you a little bit about who I am, just for those who don't know me. I am a multi-generational, multidisciplinary healer and intuitive. I have been practicing spiritually based integrative therapies for almost 20 years, since 2006. And I've also have a podcast called Triggers in Spiritual Medicine. Published these two books right here, right here, wherever they are, over there, Secrets to Healing and Feisty. And, I'm going into my crone years. And, the one thing I've always said, when we do predictive things, we're not always 100% accurate. But so far, knock on wood, I have been accurate on the last 3 elections. And for me, it's the key of really creating a pathway of opening up yourself, myself, minus my own cultural conditioning, belief systems, all those things the best I can. Because what I really am seeking when I pull this information is what the greater picture is. Okay. So in the podcast, I highly recommend episode 36, where we do talk about the upcoming events leading into the election in the fall. And it was quite interesting that I had a huge push to say, Laura, publish it by Friday. You need to publish it by Friday. I didn't know why. And a lot of times I don't know why, but I've learned to trust my instincts. I've learned to trust my intuition. And I just did it. I did it. And then Saturday happened. Okay. I thought it was going to have to do with the energies we are seeing conjunct today, from what all the astrologers are talking about, all these planets that are conjunct. I don't understand it, but I do understand how the sun affects us. I do understand tarot. I understand numerology, and I understand just a deep listening, and listening to the nature spirits and the ancestors, and listening to their wisdom, listening to their calls. And so one of the things, when I did a live on Friday on TikTok, it was fascinating when people were asking questions. And some of the questions were coming up about third party. And I'm still going to maintain my stance that I do feel that a third party candidate is probably the most viable we have seen, if there's ever to be a chance of having a third party candidate in the United States. This election cycle is the most viable we have seen. And who that is or what that looks like, I'm not 100% sure. Could it be? I do know that what happened on Saturday, Trump is not the only one with that issue. And I'm going to say some things that I'm hoping comes across the right way. But the one thing I do have a lot of experiences is trauma healing and recovery, and doing legislative and policy work for survivors of domestic violence. And so the one thing I really am having a hard time with is the fact that I feel there's some things that just don't line up. And I know I'm not the only one that has brought this up, to what has transpired on Saturday. One, the fact that there were multiple people who saw that individual on the roof, yet the snipers, to protect our politicians, our presidential wannabes, that are vying to be president, didn't shoot until shot upon. I also noticed that the shortest individuals were women, and the ones in the direct line of fire. There were just a few things that just didn't sit right. And knowing what we did in the podcast, and I think with the cards that I pulled, let me pull them up here. I know with the cards that I had pulled for Trump, where are we here? Da, 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 da. there were cards that I pulled. I'm trying to see where we are. Okay. That involved like the death card. They involved, oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, the Six of Pentacles. The three cards I pulled for Trump involved the Six of Pentacles, the Death card, and the Devil card, both reversed. And I have high concerns about that. So, as I said in the podcast, that, you know, and then when I added the other elements like the numerology, okay, and then you add the astrology aspects, um, they're not, he's not coming in with the right reasons. And my fear around Saturday, and again, I'm not 100% correct, and I'm trying to do this in the most sensitive way possible because I do know people died. But what I'm also angry because I feel like they died because somebody was making a political stunt for personal gain to garner sympathy and empathy. And as history has shown, um, you have to make some sort of big, drastic event that people are going to flock to you more, especially if every dictatorship has shown this. And, again, the cards I pulled for Trump, that I go into more in detail in the podcast, were the Six of Pentacles, the Death card that was reversed, and the Devil card that was reversed. And the supporting cards included, there's some health issues with Trump as well as Biden. So I kept looking at the aspects of, okay, is the third party going to be? And to be honest with you, I feel like what happened on Saturday, I was very careful, and so was Victoria, to bring up elements that showed up on Saturday. We are not going to use the A word, but we might use increased gun violence. We might use rebellion. We might use other words. And I'm also trying to be very careful because, as others have stated, I am doing this purely from an intuitive standpoint, and I'm not trying to sway or convince anybody on who you should and should not vote for. I am not trying to tell you what that looks like. What I am trying to tell you is the energy behind each candidate so you can make an informed decision based on the information I have been given. And I do believe Saturday was staged. And it angers me. And that person that was targeted on Saturday has yet to make a statement to the families who were shot, who are in critical condition at the hospital, or who have lost loved ones that day. And all I kept thinking today as I was preparing for this live was, how that individual doesn't care about you. They're using you as a pawn for power and control. And I feel like what I'm trying to say is like trying to tell my friend, my loved one, my sister, my brother, my daughter, my mother, my father, my son, whoever that might be, that they're involved in a very violent, coercive control, domestic abusive relationship, and you need to find a safe exit. There are so many parallels with that, and a lot of times it takes 8 times trying to leave because the domestic abuser, a lot of times, love bombs you. And in this case, this political candidate will love bomb you into feeding your fears but it's not for him to fix, because if he really cared about the American people, he would have shown a track record of doing so instead of not paying his bills, not paying contractors before, not sexually assaulting girls, not sexually assaulting or going into young women's rooms, not going and having relationships and going to Epstein Island. I mean, I can make a list and go on. And what I sometimes feel like is when me, as a friend who's witnessing this to my loved ones, and my loved ones saying back to me, oh, he's really not that bad. Oh, but he does this and he does that. Yes, they're going to love bomb you. That's what coercive controllers and abusers do. They love bomb you. And that is what Trump is doing to the masses. And I am, by the way, I am not in any way, shape, or form advocating for Biden at all. I am just showing you what the cards are showing you, what has been and what has happened on Saturday, the energies that have aligned. Um, there's a lot of heaviness and desperation. And when you have people that are like Trump, that are not spiritually aligned, that are using the system to manipulate for power, um, they're going to do desperate acts, like an abuser going into family court and making false allegations to the protective parent, or forcing the protective parent and having the children and claiming victim. We call this DARVO tactics, diverse victim and offender. Okay. And that's exactly what I'm seeing happening. And to me, it is the most dangerous part of leaving a domestic violent relationship. And this is the next. So this is like what I'm kind of highlighting to you, right? But August, the stuff I pulled for August, we're moving into mouse energy and the Five of Pentacles. So there's a lot of change happening in August. I know from what Victoria had mentioned about astrology, there's a lot of big things that are going to happen. And politically as well, including, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she saw a lot of health stuff in both Trump and Biden's chart. Again, listen to the podcast for the specifics. But the August energy in itself is really going into examining life's lessons, right? Now, the cards that I pulled for Biden, now it's interesting. The cards I pulled for Biden are the Two of Wands, the Justice card, and the Page of Wands. And what that said to me was, when I really sit with that, is how Biden is conflicted with wanting one thing and somehow X, Y, and Z is happening. And he does understand the duality. And he also is highly connected to wanting to do the right thing. There was something here about justice that I wrote down. Yeah, it's the pillar of justice. Okay, equity. It represents the social and personal ideals, and understand it, because he is a very religious man, that he knows he'll be judged. So whether we see, here's the thing. I don't agree with the things that Biden has done. I don't agree with some of the actions his administration has done. He should have published, and can still publish, the ERA granting women equal rights under the Constitution, and he has not. Okay. So he is balancing the delicate scales of what he thinks things should be and what he's trying to do versus what is actually happening. Okay. And, but he's not an idiot. He's not an idiot. He is very connected. He is a Scorpio. So he has the duality of those within him as well. Okay. Versus Trump is a Gemini, so he can switch on a dime, and he doesn't care how much that impacts you. He doesn't care if it offends you. He's offending the people that were shot this weekend. Okay? He is in a sense, doesn't care, right? So yeah, because he went out golfing instead of connecting with the people that were harmed, that are traumatized from Saturday. Again, it just reemphasizes my inklings that I think it was staged. He knew there were going to be casualties, and he didn't care. He didn't care. That's a statement. He's doing this for power, and he's using his base. And to me, that's scary. Now, when I look at, okay, and again, this part with the third party aspects, I do feel it getting stronger, but I'm not 100% sure on how it's going to play out. So what I did was I pulled the numerology of 3 major aspects that can happen. Okay. And then how it aligns with some of the tarot as well. So the first aspect would be, first of all, neither party wants Kamala Harris, and that's scary. So if something happened to Biden, or if there's another attempt that's made and it happens and they go after Kamala Harris, the next in line would be the Speaker of the House. And going based on today's Speaker of the House, that would be Mike Johnson. Okay. He's an Aquarius. His birth date is 1/30/1972. That makes him an Aquarius. That's right. And what I saw with him is he was born on a night. Now, it's interesting. He and RFK Jr. are born both on a 19 year. So a lot of new beginnings and a lot of endings. The year itself, okay, 1972 and 1954, are both years of beginnings and endings. The simultaneous, that's the epitome of duality. I'm balancing those scales of beginnings and endings. Now, Mike Johnson's birth numbers ended up being 23 and 5. So again, duality, mastering the past, present, future, and an agent of change. Okay. So when I look at that, I also got, so the 23rd card is the 3 of Wands. The 5 is the Hierophant. Now, when I also add the numbers for it in 2024, it equals 17 and 8. So the 1 and the 7, so it's beginning and breaking of cycles. So his intention is to really create change, break patterns, break cycles. There might even be some generational thing in Mike Johnson's chart. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like he's trying to break changes. The thing that I feel that is in his way is he's doing it from a place of formal patriarchal religion. He does have the Hangman in tarot, so that shows a lot of faith, but that can also mean that's going to trip your ass up, all right? And there might be some karmic debt that comes along with that. There's also the Hierophant, but the Hierophant is like, again, it's that duality. It's formal religion, but it's also that aspect of he really needs to really remember his own ancestral roots, not what he has been conditioned to believe in formal religion. So that is what he is challenged with. When I look at RFK Jr., again, another 19, he was born on a 19 year. But when I add the rest of his birth chart, it is a 2830 with a 3. So that's like 9 of Wands, 10 of Wands, the High Priestess. When I look at how that impacts this year, that's a 17-8. So again, like, and the 8, by the way, is the Justice card, 17 is the Star card. Again, when I look at the numbers, it's the balance, it's prosperity, it's this is a soul thing that he is doing. It's a soul contract. He was born to change the system from the inside out. Okay. And again, I am not preaching who you should vote for and who you shouldn't vote for, because I don't even know who I'm going to do either. So this is very interesting to me. So when I have the 30 number, so that's like the combination of like the High Priestess, right? That intuition with the beginning of a fool's journey. So what he's doing is he's trying to break that Kennedy norm by trusting his intuition, but also trying to do it outside the system, but yet inside the system. Like he is trying to do it from the place being in the system. I do feel like he's been doing a lot of healing work. He's been forced to. That's why he has the vocal issues. Okay. And he's been trying to do that. So the star is really looking at some of those intuitive pieces, that shadow work piece. So that's what he's trying to do. And he's really trying to, I really feel like, again, both he and Marianne Williamson are coming into the presidential election from their perspective by kind of being the white knight. They're coming in as, I really care about the system. I really want to change the system. We're going down a horrible path, and I want to be a catalyst to change it for the better. Okay. And I have a lot of things that the system can learn from me, and I want to do that. Okay. So RFK has some of that in his chart. Okay. Um, he also has the yeah, Marianne Williamson, by the way, is born on a 17/8 year, 1952. Um, and that equals 32/5. So that is like learning to balance the past, present, future. She is the, now actually, geez, I just got goosebumps. She's probably, out of all those three, the best candidate from an alignment with the stars, so to speak, from a numerology standpoint, because she is here to help balance out the past, the present, and the future. Okay. And her chart for, so that means the Queen of Wands, the Empress, and the Hierophant. So it's balancing out that nurturing mother, understanding as a spiritual teacher. Her career has been built upon as a change agent, as a spiritual teacher that is multi faith, and for that nurturing aspect with her nonprofits and all those other things. Now, her numbers for 2024, again, that's where it's at. The numbers before 32, again, it's actually, it is 32 and 23. That's basically, this is the year for Marianne Williamson to make her mark, because what she is doing in running for president is actually what her soul came here to do. Okay. So it's quite interesting that she is back to what she was born. So she's probably, now, if I had to gauge based on that, the most aligned for the people. Hear this again. Marianne Williamson, out of all the candidates, is the most aligned for the people. Now, we are so defunct and so broken from our connection to our ancestors, our roots, our indigenous practices, and who we are as a people, because of toxic capitalist cultural neo-colonizer conditioning, that most of Americans aren't ready for her. But this is the call to, if you're listening this far, to maybe you need to look at a bigger picture. And I'm not saying vote for her, because you really have to see what's more in alignment for you. I can tell you that RFK Jr., I think I said he has the Justice card. So, but he's coming from an aspect of being also in the system, from a patriarchal system. Okay. He's also part of that baby boomer generation. Now, interestingly, from an astrological standpoint, too, Marianne Williamson was born during the water dragon year in Chinese zodiac. RFK Jr. is the snake, and Mike Johnson is the water rat. So when I look at this, the dragon in most Asian cultures is the god or goddess, and it is the power symbolism. So you can't get, even from there, a much more powerful situation. Now, back to Trump and Biden, like when I look at Biden's health, when I look at his numbers, he has the magician and he has the lover's card. He also has, the strength card and a few others in his charts. But Let me just see what else I wrote here. Yeah, and so Biden has the world card actually in his numerology. So when we look at the fool's journey, the tarot, for those who don't know, is based on the fool's hero's journey. Okay, starting out with zero as the fool, basically like the slate is clean. This is the beginning of your journey. You can go down any which path, and now it's up to you to figure out how that path unfolds. The 22nd card in the major arcana and tarot is the world card. So when we look at Biden from a numerology and combine it with tarot, he has that leadership, doer, visionary, strong values, strong sense of duty, strong connection to his religious faiths. Okay. Out of all of for those, by the way, who are religious and really clung to your religion, the two candidates that are probably most intrinsically aligned with their religious values for the right reason are Joe Biden and Marianne Williamson. Okay. Um, but he has the 22 card, which is the world and tarot. Now, that's basically Joe Biden coming full circle. Again, I know we have our conflict, but something in what I'm getting as far as downloads, and I'm not happy with Joe. I'm not happy with how he's run. I'm going to be honest with you. But the stars are saying he is trying to do what is right for the country. He is not doing this for selfish reasons. If anything, it's legacy, and it's for really stepping into and what and how can I make and better the country in a better way? How can I help this country? How can I help all of us as a whole? And that doesn't mean we have to agree with his choices. What I'm bringing in is what I'm seeing is how they're coming at things. Okay. Both Trump and Biden have the Emperor card in their numerology charts, but both are coming at it. So again, looking at what's around them, are coming at it for different reasons. For Biden, it's for leadership. It's for trying to help make impact and get action done from a leadership standpoint versus control dictator standpoint. And for Trump, it's really the Emperor card, because it was reversed, has that strong patriarchal energy, that demand for actions, that demand for loyalty, that demand for authority and power. And it's to, then he also has the Justice card. But I don't feel like the Justice card sometimes teaches us that the world isn't always as it seems. Okay. Trump has the Magician card in his numerology, which again, when you break down the 31, we do the 3 is the Empress, 1 is the Magician, 4 is the Emperor. So when I put all of those 3, is that he had an opportunity to come here and do something great. But instead, he is doing it from a place of greed and trickery. He is using the tools that he has been given for power and manipulation. Okay. And that to me is quite frightening. When we talk about that aspect, and he doesn't know how to. And again, what I feel like what I'm witnessing, and again, if you have questions about the energies this past weekend, what are my insights? I'm trying to be very careful how I address certain things, just because one, I don't want any codes coming to my place and whatever, and two, I understand the power of the influence I have, and I'm trying to help people understand what is showing up from a universal perspective, so they can come and make decisions and choices from a very aligned, informed lens. And Biden is not perfect. He has a lot to unpack. He has a lot of capitalist, patriarchal structures to unpack. But I do feel he, in his lens, is trying to do what he thinks is right for the country. He's not doing it for himself. I do feel both RFK Jr. and Marianne Williamson are doing it for the same reasons. Mike Johnson, if that comes into play, and I didn't even pull Kamala Harris, but Kamala Harris, here's the thing. I am not feeling, and this is going to be a controversial statement, but I am not feeling Biden nor Trump leading the country this time next year. I'm not sure what the aspects are, if it's health, if it's other things like what happened on Saturday. I'm not quite sure. And this is where we don't always get the specifics. Sometimes we get the, like, this is going to happen. You just don't always know how. And nor am I going to disclose that even if I knew, because that's just irresponsible of me. And just because I know there's a lot of people that are unwell and can take some of the things that I say and really run for it for not the right reasons. And that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to try to help you move and grow. And so you know how to move through the energies. Yeah. I will just say, as we get ready to close, I do have openings for one-on-one, in person, and virtual. If you want to get a reading, see where you're at, see how it's going to impact you moving the next several months. And I do that virtually and in person in my office in Hingham at Healing with Spirit. I'm also increasingly booking half-day, full-day immersions. That can be more spiritual coaching, that could be more healing, that could be more just intensive sessions, that could be more looked at as like a personal solo retreat, and mentoring and learning tools on how to, from a very concentrated manner, on how to move forward. We have a lot of wonderful workshops and events coming up that are hugely rooted. And yeah, so there we have it. Since you guys don't have questions, and I'm not going to sit here and twinkle and twiddle my thumb, but hopefully that gave you some insight of what's happening. This month is a good month to just sit and digest and compost things, really amplify self-care, get off the news box, get off the social media box, and really focus on yourself and getting into that quiet whisper of your inner knowing, your inner intuition, because that's going to guide you to the truth. But we have to bypass this in order to get there. So that's the key. That's what we have to do. So I'm hoping that you got what you needed today. I'm hoping, since nobody was here to ask questions, maybe I didn't promote it well enough. I don't know. But chime in the comments if you do have want me to do this again, and we can do this periodically and see how that runs. If not, see me on TikTok, because I'll do a lot of things over there as well. Have a good day, everybody.